For the Blair Thing monster scene, an entire miniature model of the set was created from scratch, filming wide-angle shots of the alien using advanced stop-motion techniques that took hours to complete. However, John Carpenter felt that the alien looked too fake and ultimately ended up only using a few seconds of the stop-motion sequence, despite it being one of the most difficult and time-consuming scenes to complete. Today we're looking at the movie Maniacs 3 Blair monster from the movie The Thing. So first off, looking at the packaging, we have the Thing logo right here. Under that it says feature film figures. On the top right corner we have the McFarlane Toys logo, so we know that's a McFarlane Toys figure. On the top left we have a picture of the Blair monster. It's a black and white picture and it's a picture of the figure itself. Right here it says Blair monster, we have the movie Maniacs 3 logo. And right here we have an awesome sticker of the Thing poster and it says includes movie poster replica. Looking at the back of the package, starting with the bottom part, we have a picture of a Spawn figure, an Alice Cooper figure, an Austin Powers figure, and a Kiss figure. Over here we have the McFarlane Toys logo. It says McFarlane Toys and it says "It's an Attitude," which I guess it's their catchphrase or whatever. Over here we have a picture of a Freddy Krueger figure and a Michael Myers figure. And right here it says sensor activated sound, hear the horror. So these two figures make sounds with sensor activated technology. Looking at the top part, we have a Spawn.com logo over here. Over here it says Movie Maniacs 3. On the left and right sides, we have logos and pictures of the figures in the line. So right here we have the Edward Scissorhands logo along with the Edward Scissorhands figure. Next up is Army of Darkness logo with the Army of Darkness figure. Then it's the Escape from LA logo with the Escape from LA figure. We have a Fly logo with the Fly figure. Then the Shaft logo with the Shaft figure. Then the Thing logo with two Thing figures in this line. Then we have a King Kong logo with the King Kong figure right here. And the final logos at the bottom, Halloween and A Nightmare on Elm Street, correspond with the pictures of these sensor activated figures. Well, that's pretty much it. So let's get this thing opened. Get it? Thing. This thing. The Blair Thing monster does come with one accessory and it's this thing over here. No pun intended this time. So let's have a closer look. So starting at the bottom, we have the Movie Maniacs logo over here and it's nicely sculpted. And we also have a piece of film that explodes towards the end. So all that looks very nice. This whole piece is a yellowish color plastic. It looks like it has a white color, but it feels like they painted over it with yellow first. And then they added some brown and some darker colors to make it look old and decrepit. So continuing on with the sculpting, at the bottom we have a bunch of skulls. Those are sculpted very nicely. There's different shapes of skulls and everything. We have pieces of spine, pieces of bone. We have some rats here. So I'm assuming this is in New York, right? And then we continue on to the other side. We have some more skulls, some more New York rats. We have a bunch of more skulls, and I guess this would be like flesh or something. We have another skull up here. A bunch of other skulls. And then this part would be a spine. We continue, there's a bunch of dirt. More skulls. Every single skull is sculpted a bit differently, so they're all different people. It's not the same skull used over and over again. We have some more parts right here, which would be like a leg bone or something. This looks like a hand. Some more spine. Some more bone. And a bunch more spines and other pieces of bone at the top. We have another skull right here out of nowhere. And that's it for the sculpting. And this part that's supposed to be the actual poster, it is 100% the actual film poster that you see when you get out the theaters or what you would hang on your wall. It has a little catchphrase right here, the ultimate in alien terror, The Thing, and it has little credits down here. And it's just a piece of cardboard. It's held together with some hot glue, the glue that you would use for like cosplays, that you apply with the hot glue gun. So it's pretty much just a melted plastic that holds that together. Usually some of these are very bad, but this one came out perfectly. It's not dented at all, and there's no problems with the glue. Sometimes the glue is all messy and the cardboard is all dented and nasty, but this one came out very well. So this piece is sculpted incredibly well, and it has a weight to it too, so it's not gonna fall over easily, and you could feel the quality here. The only thing that doesn't feel too high quality is the cardboard, but given the time it was made, this is very high quality. And also this is depicting, I guess, like a cinema in hell, I would assume, a movie theater in hell. So once you have like multiple ones of these, you could put them together, and it's like your horror film figures are going through a theater in hell and they're deciding which movie to watch. And given all the rats, I'm assuming hell is right next to New York City. I just want to point out real quick that there's this tentacle that is attached to the bottom part, and it doesn't really do anything. It kind of helps it stand if anything, but it always breaks off. It was already broken once I opened the figure, but yeah, it's been a pain to put it back on with super glue. But yeah, it's not a big deal. So now having a closer look at the detail, there's a bunch of detail, so this is gonna be quite a task. But starting at the top of the head, we have a face sculpt right here. Well, half of a face sculpt, and well, we get to see the teeth and the tongue, the eye, that's all sculpted very well. But we also have some hair, which is sculpted on. We have some double chins, some boils. We have these nasty teeth up here. They're also sculpted very nicely. There's some green on it, some green paint. We have a bunch of whatever that's supposed to be. The inside of the mouth is sculpted too. You could see the tongue in there. It looks very nice. It's hard to see, but it's there. The teeth on the other side are sculpted very nicely too. The back of the figure is just as detailed. You can see all the muscle parts. You can see the red muscle there, the black thing, I don't know what the hell that is. All the veins, the flesh. Looking up here, we have some more boils or whatever. You have some of the hair sculpting. You have some veins, the teeth. And you don't actually see the back part of this monster in the movie. So I have no idea if all this sculpting is taken from concept art or something that the studio might have provided, or if the guys at McFarlane Toys just sculpted this from their own minds. So I really wonder how they went about doing that. And on the bottom we have this that says Universal Studios, all rights reserved, McFarlane Toys, made in China. And just looking at the tentacles, you see all those scratches, all the crazy detail. There's some paints here making it look a bit green. Very gruesome. There's some green paint over this. I don't know what the hell most of this stuff is. It's just mangled flesh, disgusting alien flesh and human flesh together. And the bottom part is the same as the back part, with the same exact detailing, the same parts of the flesh, the greenish lime green paint over to give it that nasty infected look. So yeah, this is very amazing sculpting all around. So looking at the hands and claws, you can see the detail. We see the hands with the flesh, the nails. Looking at this hand, there's some more vein sculpting. It looks very cool. And then we have another arm over here. We have the green paint over it, which looks nasty in a good way. So much nasty flesh. Oh. It's hard to move this arm, it's kind of stuck, but yeah, you can see all the shredded flesh of the alien, and it's very disgusting. And then some tentacle coming down from the hand, so that looks pretty great. So continuing looking through the pectoral muscles, you actually see the muscles, the red blood and the tentacles coming out of it, the shredded skin. And over here we have the dog bursting out of its stomach. So there's actual sculpting on the eyes. He has like crooked eyes. He looks very deformed. That looks amazing. You can see more detail of the dog here. You see the ripped up flesh where he came out of. And in the movie, the thing actually looks like this. There's a piece of whatever this is, intestine or whatever, afterbirth, sliding through its face. So I like that you're able to recreate that scene like this. But if you don't really want to have it just like the movie, you can have him like this, and you can pretend that this is one of the tentacles that whips around when the thing comes out. So yeah, it's up to you. But yeah, this looks amazing. It's so detailed. You can see the teeth, and you can actually see the tongue sticking out through here. That looks great too. Everything looks great. The paint, everything, just incredible. Gruesome piece. So it might be a little hard to tell, but inside the mouth there's some gloss applied to the tongue and the teeth and the gums. So it looks like the mouth is filled with saliva, and that looks very realistic. I really love that small detail that McFarlane Toys had with this. And the camera can't really capture it too well, but at the top of the dog has a bit of paint of red and green to give it that slimy look. So that's a small detail that's pretty great. So looking at the eye and the mouth, there's some gloss in the eye, and there's also some gloss applied to the mouth and lips. So it looks like he has a realistic eye and realistic saliva filled mouth. And there's a bit of gloss here and there, like on some parts of the body and some of the crevices to make it look like sweat or slime. So that's a really great thing I really love about the paint of this figure. So now looking at the articulation, I gotta be careful with some of these because the joints are actually stuck and at the point of breaking, and others are pretty loose. Since this figure is about 20 years old, we gotta be careful. But anyway, the first joint is the head, it goes side to side. The next one's at the shoulder here, up and down. And then we have a joint that's stuck, but it's this elbow right here. And then this little dog part has articulation on the arm and on the head. And then on this other arm too. Now this thing is supposed to go over his face, that's how the movie is. But I guess you could have it like this if you want, which wouldn't make sense, but it looks cool having this little tendril sticking out. But yeah, from the movie, it's supposed to be like that. And then we have this arm that turns. And then there's a swivel at the wrist. And then looking at the back here, there's another, I guess, piece of shoulder that has articulation. And then this wrist over here has articulation. And that's pretty much it for the articulation. So it's not a whole lot of articulation, but if you've seen the movie, you'll know that the Blair thing monster kind of just wiggles around his limbs for a little bit and then he dies. So he doesn't need a whole lot of articulation. And also this figure is about 20 years old, so if you think back to that time, this figure actually has much more articulation than most figures from that time. So here's a quick comparison with another McFarlane figure, the McFarlane Michael Myers, and a couple of NECA ones, which is Chucky and Jason Voorhees. And clearly, just from looking at this lineup, this thing monster is way too short. He's not supposed to be the same size as Michael Myers and Jason. He's supposed to be huge, he's supposed to be way bigger, at least twice the size. So yeah, it's way too short, but I guess for the time, that's the budget that they had, especially with all the detail that this figure has. I guess they put all the budget in the detail and not in the height. But yeah, the accurate height would be at least twice or 3 times the size as these other guys. So my overall thoughts is that this figure is probably one of the best sculpted figures that I've ever seen in my life. And having this little accessory piece is very unique and I really love that too. If it wasn't for the height, I think this figure would have been perfect and it would have been probably the best horror figure ever made. But it's not too much of a problem because once you have it posed with all your other horror figures, people are going to be so impressed with the sculpting that nobody's going to notice that it's too short. Unless you really start thinking about the movie and the scene and how big it was supposed to be. But again, the sculpting is so impressive that it's not really that noticeable once you have him in a collection. So what do you guys think of this figure and what do you think of the film The Thing? I personally think that it's one of the greatest horror movies of all time. So let me know in the comments if you want, and most importantly, thanks for watching.